Yo, check it out, I gotta speak the truth about the hardest working small channel in the crypto booth. He's the crypto father, the one and only, putting in the hours, never getting lonely. He's grinding day and night, making videos for the fans, sharing knowledge.
Good morning, everybody. Today is the 13th of October. Welcome to another video from the Crypto Father channel. In today's video, I'll be looking at two Telegram app airdrops, one for the HamsterKombat and one for the GrandCombat. I'll be comparing them, talk about the differences, and also I'll tell you why I chose to pay 0.2 tons for to verify on the GrandCombat app. If you're not the watching kind, if you can sit through a 15-minute video or 20-minute video, they seem to be pretty long. I'll try to make it short. Then do check out a post I made. I posted an article on the Binance squares, and you can check that out there. It's all in written form if you are not able to sit through this video, which I hope you are. But so let's just jump straight into this mother and have a look at what the heck I'm talking about. So I don't know if you're aware of the fact that HamsterKombat has a website, and the website has a white paper, as well as GrandCombat. They also have a website and they also have a white paper. A lot of these games do, or some of them do. Empire doesn't seem to have a website, or at least not one that is pertaining to the game. There's a lot of Empire websites that are completely different and completely irrelevant to the game. So that's strange. But I did take a look at the white papers on GrandCombat and HamsterKombat because I wasn't really willing to pay the 0.2 ton for GrandCombat. I wasn't really convinced. I mean, I paid a little bit more for Empire, and I hope that that airdrop pays off. If it's going to be similar, equivalent to the HamsterKombat airdrop, then I should break even. If it's a little bit more than that, then I should be in the green. But so the question is, you might want to ask yourself why, or some people may be asking yourself, why would I be paying anything to verify my transaction on the GrandCombat game or any other game? And in all fairness, when you think about all the pre-sales, all the IPOs or the ICOs that were dominating the crypto market sphere in 2018, the amount of money that people were spending on tokens that ended up going nowhere is phenomenal. Millions upon millions of dollars. I still hold tokens to this day that I paid a lot more than 0.02 ton, which is about 50 cents, I guess, or maybe $1 on, that are worth nothing, literally nothing. So spending $1 on an airdrop is not a horrible thing. Even if it doesn't do much, it's still a manageable expense to get your hands on some tokens that are being launched by a legitimate project with an actual use case. Because a lot of the projects that were being launched in 2018 in the IPOs had promises, but they didn't actually deliver anything. HamsterKombat, GrandCombat, and the Empire and all the other games that are out there, they actually do deliver something. Now, not all of them, but these three in particular do have a community. They do have a game that has been used for the past 3 or 4 months and are being continuously developed. So there is potential. So spending a couple of bucks on these tokens is not a horrible thing. Now, how HamsterKombat has conducted the airdrop is a bit iffy, and I'm going to jump into it. I do provide a pretty detailed outline in my article on Binance Squares, so check it out. Why I decided to spend 0.2 ton on GrandCombat, a well-calculated move. I believe it is a well-calculated move. But so let's have a look at the white paper. So again, like I said, you may not be aware of the fact that HamsterKombat has a white paper. For the longest time, I myself, and I assume that a lot of people were in the same boat, assumed that HamsterKombat was just a clicker game. And it is just a clicker game. And I don't know when they added the white paper. Currently, it's in its version 0.3, which I guess it didn't even make it to the 1.0 version. And up until recently, I wasn't even aware of how many hamster tokens there were. And there must be a limited number of hamster tokens because it is on a smart contract. And as soon as Hamster token moved onto exchanges and was launched and distributed, and there was an airdrop, obviously there must have been a smart contract that was minted in order to create those tokens. So luckily for us, the HamsterKombat white paper has a tokenomics section. I'm not going to go over the entire white paper because it's simply outlines the things that HamsterKombat does as a game. But we're gonna scroll all the way down to the tokenomics and have a quick look at the tokenomics, and I'm going to compare those tokenomics of HamsterKombat to those of GrandCombat. We're going to leave the best for last. HamsterKombat, or HMSTR, will produce a target largest airdrop in the history of crypto. So this must have been released prior to the airdrop, and it hasn't been updated since. The total token supply is fixed at 100 billion hamster token, which is a massive number of tokens. 60% of the airdrop's volume will be dedicated to the players. The rest is reserved for providing market liquidity, ecosystem partnership, and grants rewarding squads and other items. The game development will go on, and there will be season 2 of the players. The project plans to launch updates to encourage current players and involve new ones. More players mean larger capitalization, which also means a larger drop for each player. Hamsters are power one for all, and all for one. So I'm not sure what that has to do with tokenomics. Since we have neither investment firms nor VCs backing us, there is no extra sell pressure, and the community-driven token and its value will be determined by demand, supply, and community interest. Where there are investors involved, the exit liquidity for them might mean every single one of you hamsters. Now, this is the fallacy that seems to be propagated by these projects, and maybe some people believe it or not. The presumption is that VCs mean sell pressure. It turns out that sell pressure comes from retail, who are very eager to receive their airdrops in order to dump them immediately on the open market, and for the most part, and recoup their gains for, simply clicking a button on a game. And of course, people complain. The amount of complaints that I've read over the past couple of weeks is phenomenal. People are upset that they spent 2 or 3 weeks, or however long it took for HamsterKombat to actually prepare for the launch of the airdrop. People are upset that they spent those 3 weeks clicking pointlessly for a small number of tokens. I myself received 680 tokens. 80 of those tokens are vested for I don't even know how many months, and so I was able to take those 600 tokens and lock them up on Binance, because that was one of the options. You were able to stake your tokens for 7 days in return for a 300% profit. Now, while that's all nice and good and dandy, you have to keep in mind that the number of users on the HamsterKombat game was massive. Granted, only a third, I think, of those were eligible for the airdrop, but that's still well over, like, I don't know, 20 or something, or 15 million people. Apparently, there's like 300 million users on the game. Only 50 million of those were eligible. And in the end, after weeding out all the scammers and all the cheaters, around 15 million people received the airdrop, or were eligible to receive the actual airdrop, from what I understand the numbers to be. Now, 60% is a huge supply. That's, like the entire supply. So the 40% of the tokens are going to just somewhere. It's not even like specified explicitly to where each percentage of the part of the 40% is going. It's just a lump sum that is going there, and then the 60%, which is another lump sum that's going to you. And that was separated amongst a large number of people. So huge token supply, a big number of participants, and a massive number of tokens, or percentage of the tokens, overall tokens for that particular project, have been distributed to people who were way too eager to sell, to dump it all, and then complain that the price of it tanked. And it's funny, it's really funny to say, to see the white paper read that VCs would be to blame for the dump, because most VCs would be in a position to sell early and recoup their gains. Most projects, when they're done well, when they're done smart and correctly, will have vesting times on these investments for VCs, airdrops, and anybody else, in order to prevent immediate massive sell pressure on a token, which causes a dump in the price. HamsterKombat did none of that. And so it was a free token, literally. All you needed to do was come in every day on the app a couple of times if you wanted to, spread the word, get some engagement, help them grow their stash of users, and then in return you would receive some tokens. I did my part. I literally had like 5 subscribers, 5 people joining my HamsterKombat, which is a very tiny amount. I've seen channels with like thousands of people. How that's possible, I don't know, but I assume that their airdrop was much bigger. So that's all you needed to do. There was no investment, no financial investment, nothing of that sort, and people complain. So okay, so this is it. This is for the tokenomics for HamsterKombat. Not a lot, and I would say you shouldn't expect a lot in return. Now let's have a look at the tokenomics and the white paper for GrandCombat. And I gotta say, it's like looking at night and day. So the HamsterKombat white paper is in a very traditional style of your, you know, kind of Satoshi Nakamoto Bitcoin type, white, black on white. It's very simple. GrandCombat went a little bit further. They added graphics and they made it their own. And I'm gonna skip through all of this because, you know, about GrandCombat, you've got a description, main game mechanics, inviting friends, all that stuff. All that stuff is available in the game. You can read all the details for the game, and if you don't, if you haven't subscribed yet, then join my clansman. I'm telling you, this is probably one of the better investments that you will do outside of HamsterKombat. If you jaded with all the clicker games, then, you know, that's fine. Then you jaded, then you get out of it. But for the price of like a couple of bucks, or sorry, not even, the price of a ton right now is $5.26, which means that 1/5 0.2 ton is about $1 and a couple of cents. So you're paying $1 for the you know, eligibility to have access to the airdrop. And so okay, so scrolling back through all of this, it tells you in the white paper, it tells you PvP battles, that's upcoming. These are all the events that are coming up. PvP battles, that hasn't really happened yet. Clans have been launched. Clans allow players to earn up to team up with like-minded individuals for joint company development. Clan members have access to unique mechanics such as participating in clan tournaments. That's all coming up, and there's a bonus on joining clans. Tournaments are coming up. Tournaments give players the chance to showcase their corporation's power and win significant prizes. I don't think that's activated yet. I'm sure that this is listed on their roadmap. Yeah, no, there is nothing of it yet, of that sort yet. With reward in points or grand tokens, the difference is in the entry fee and the reward participants can receive. Players must pay points or grand tokens. So these are the tokens that are going to be distributed, airdrop. So this is going to be the actual ticker for the GrandCombat token. So this is your very first use case scenario for the game tokens in the game. The prize pool consists of all points grand tokens spent by players on tickets. The winner receives 75%, the second place receives 15%, 5% of the prize will be burned. The remaining 5% is taken by the platform as a fee. So they pay themselves 5%, which is fair. And the remainder of the invested money will be distributed amongst the players. So again, the clan tournaments, they haven't started yet. So anyway, let's go to the tokenomics. So first things first, the total supply for GrandCombat is 1 billion tokens. That is a 100x difference. Basically, HamsterKombat is 100 times more tokens than GrandCombat, literally. GrandCombat has a vesting mechanism. They have a 24-month vesting period on all. This is the maximum amount of vesting time for some of their tokens. Not all of them have the same time being vested. To give you a quick look here, 6% of the overall token supply will go to marketing and partnerships, 10% to farming rewards, 10% to liquidity, 10% to airdrops, 5% will go to the team, 35% to treasury, and 24% grant rewards. So that's the distribution. If you go over here, there is a table here, and it's basically gives you a little bit more detail. So treasury will receive 35% of the overall supply with a 24-month vesting period. This is good. 30 million out of the 350 million, the 35%, will be unlocked at TGE, which is at launch. That's about 3%. And I guess this is used for, I don't know, just to pay themselves, right? Grand rewards 24%. This will be vested for 24 months. There is no unlocked amount. Airdrops make up only 10%, which is a huge difference. HamsterKombat had 60%. GrandCombat has only 10% of the tokens, which means that even if the unlock was immediate, you'd be looking at a 10% token supply, overall token supply that stood the chance of being dumped onto the markets. But even so, with a 10%, with a small percent of the overall token supply, the vesting period is 3 months. So once the airdrop takes place and the tokens are distributed to the players, people will not be able to sell these tokens on the open market for up to 3 months. Liquidity, 10% of that is in liquidity, and that's vested for 6 months. So I assume that all these tokens will be locked up for 6 months, and 20 million of those tokens will be provided as liquidity on an exchange somewhere. Farming rewards, 10%. 10 million of these tokens will be unlocked, but the vesting period is 12 months for the remainder. Marketing and partnerships make up 6%. None of it is unlocked immediately. 9 months vesting period, and the team will receive 5%, which is 50 million tokens, and they have a vesting period of 12 months. So nothing opens up until the first vesting period is over at 3 months, and that's the airdrop, with the exception of 50-60 million tokens will be unlocked immediately in order to have some flow, in order to provide people with the opportunity of actually trading the token, to begin trading the token outside of the tokens that are being vested. An additional kicker is that the airdrop, there will be 2 airdrops. The dates have been already announced. Airdrops tokens will be distributed in 2 stages. The first airdrop will be made up of 3% of the total supply of the actual airdrop. So 10% of the tokens have been destined for the airdrops, and only 3% of those tokens will be distributed in the first phase, which then will be locked up for 3 months. So the first airdrop takes place on November 15th. So if you haven't started mining yet, GrandCombat, hop over the link below and join my clan, peeps. There are 3 people right now. It'd be great if we had more, so we could keep this tight and grow this adventure together. And the second airdrop will take place in March of 2025, March 15th, at which point 7% of the remainder of the 10% will be airdrop. And the beauty of this is that after the first airdrop, all points in PPH, profit per hour of users, will be reset to give all players an equal chance to participate in the second airdrop. So basically, whatever is being mined right now, whatever is being accrued in the game right now, will be reset after the airdrop. So the first airdrop is distributed in 3% amongst a relatively small number of users. I assume, because the token right now, there are only like 5 million users, I think, on the game using it, and I don't know how many people will be eligible for the airdrop, but it's going to be a much smaller number of people than on the HamsterKombat. So the overall airdrop will make up 100 million tokens, and for the first airdrop it'll be 30 million tokens. So whatever the number of people there is, the overall distribution, token distribution, will be much bigger than that for HamsterKombat. And the way it's calculated, according to the white paper here, the only statistic that they're taking into consideration is the profit per hour, PPH. That's the only statistic that they're going to be using in order to determine the amount of airdrop people will be eligible for. None of that convoluted, HamsterKombat combinations. They were struggling. They were like, oh, we have so many things to consider and this and that. This is simple. They made it simple. What is your profit per hour? And divided that out of the entire profit per hour pool. So how many people, the amount of profit per hour that all of the eligible players have gained, and you take that number divided by the overall airdrop, and you get yourself the number of tokens that you will be receiving. On the 15th of November, the first airdrop will take place on the 15th of November, and then we've got December, January, February, March. Basically, the tokens will become available a month before the second airdrop. So before the second airdrop, people will be able to sell their tokens from the first airdrop. I guess, presuming, because 3 months vesting period should be over sometime in February, on February 15th, or maybe it's calculated onto March. I may be doing the calculations wrong here, but so November, December 15th, January, February 15th, and then from February 15th until March 15th is a month during which people could sell their tokens. And in March 15th, the second airdrop will take place, and that will be vested for another 3 months, April, May, June, going into June of 2025. So even if people decide to sell their tokens in February, the remainder, that's going to make up only a 3% token supply of the overall token supply. And then the remainder of the tokens will be locked up until June. So the team has made sure that people don't have a chance to just dump everything out on the market. They're trying to secure the future of the project and allow only driblets to be sold, which basically means that there will be movement on the markets. People will be able to trade the tokens, and then people will be trading tokens, but there won't be a mass dump like we saw on HamsterKombat, which is very important. And venture capitalists, if there are any, farming rewards, liquidity airdrops, treasury, and marketing and partnerships, all of that stuff has much longer vesting periods, which means even if there are venture capitals being active and investors, private investors engaged in the game, which may not be a bad thing, because that basically helps raise the overall value of the token. If there's venture capital that invested in a certain number of tokens, that means there's money flowing in. It's like the whales buying in. I'm not sure why there's such a contradiction. People want the value of the token rise, but they're afraid of venture capitals. Makes no sense. You want big money to come in order to raise the value of the token so that retailers can come in and see the price rise. That's basically it. Yes, there's the fear that VCs will dump their tokens on the backs of early investors or on the backs of retail. But if you have a lockup period, vesting period like you do in GrandCombat, then there is no fear of that happening. Also, another thing to keep in mind, 1 billion tokens means that in order for a grand token to be equivalent to $1, the overall market cap needs to be $1 billion, which is not a very difficult thing to do. Most projects are below $1 million, around $1 million, but even so, with $50 million market cap, token would be worth 5 cents, which is pretty decent. So we could be looking at a 5-cent token if the market cap hit $50 million. I don't think it's going to happen that early, but I could foresee $20 million market cap straight out the door. Whatever the case, the numbers are much smaller. The number of tokens available are much smaller. The vesting periods are there in place to secure the longevity of the project. And so this, in a nutshell, is the reason why I decided to pay 0.2 tons for the project, which is $1. And I truly believe that this project will have a juicy airdrop, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how big it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be anything, exorbitant, but it'll be, I think, a lot more lucrative than HamsterKombat. And disregard the messages here, the posts, all of these projects say that it's the biggest, the most elaborate, the greatest airdrops. Disregard all that. That's just fluff. But looking at the numbers and looking at how the team is positioning itself in the game, I think this airdrop will be worth it. I may be wrong, but in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. This is why I decided to pay that 0.2 ton. And the newest announcement is exciting news. GrandCombat players, a huge airdrop is on the way, and you don't want to miss it. Why should you prepare? Connect your wallet in the game. The airdrop is coming in November, so you've got a month. You got a month to get going. A month is not a lot of time. I mean, it's plenty enough. A month is plenty enough to get going, and I think you really should. The game activities are very similar to HamsterKombat. So like I said, the game is very similar in its makeup. You've got there is a small theme that's already present. We've got the crypto fam. A clan is growing. Other clans have a lot more players. Our clan has only 3, myself including. We're at level 2. The highest one is at level 7. So I hope that more of you will join, because why the heck not? And again, I mentioned this before, the rewards, the in-game rewards come in tons. So right now, the amount of ton is minuscule, but basically they're airdropping ton as you play the game. And I've been collecting some ton over the past few weeks. It's, like I said, it's a minuscule amount, but this is basically deducted from the 0.2 ton that I just paid for the game to participate in the airdrop. And I assume, I hope that it's only one-time transaction, like verification, like on X Empire, which is another airdrop that's coming up sometime soon. So that should be interesting. So, but these are the reasons for why I chose to pay that amount for this thing. So we've got, what do we got right now? My balance is profit per hour is 465,000, which isn't very big, but it's reasonable. They also have a premium option. You could buy a premium option. Obviously, you can buy that with stars and you get 10% profit. You can level up faster, and you can get more skins. So if you have stars, you can opt in to buy some of that stuff. 149 stars, that's like $4. So basically, you'd be paying for a game if that's what you wanted to do. I personally don't care to do that. Any airdrop that I receive based on my participation will be good enough, and I'm happy with that. So I hope that clarifies things. If it does, then remember to smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Do it anyway, man. You should be doing it. If you made it till the very end of this video and you would like to have a summary, I don't know, find some AI that summarizes the video. Maybe I should include like a summary of the video, but you can also check out the article on Binance Square. You can find me on Binance Square under the Crypto Father, of course, and read the article with all the details and intricacies in its form. Otherwise, today is Sunday, so I will see you tomorrow on a Monday on another episode of the weekly crypto rundown, news rundown. Stay chill. Peace.